You don't have to take too many notes, but well, just by way of introduction, these Sunday Human Evolution Celebrating Humanity events are really for us to connect vertically, horizontally along all the life continuums, and to be totally inclusive, because there's a wealth of information coming from many streams. And whilst we meet on the Sunday prior to the full sun moon, it's not dictated to by that, but it's one of the impulses. And this one now is Cancerian, and it's on the 13th. And it's the activation will start probably Monday, but it's about home and family. So we're going to be talking today about actually our very big inclusive family, which includes our ancestors, and honoring them. And Phil is going to share with us the importance of honoring them and building our own family community before we even think of getting a little bit broader and a little bit broader. Otherwise, we're missing the core and maybe going back to the core. And I think for me personally anyway, I find a lot of peace doing that. So Phil's going to really shed some light on that for us. And also after the Aries, Gemini, and Aries, Taurus, and Gemini moons, sun moons, that's when we were planting the seeds. Now we're starting to manifest. So, be aware of the goals that you set and you thought of, and the ideas and the intuition, imagination, and, see yourself starting to manifest on that level. Manifestation means moving potential energy, your ideas, into kinetic energy, evolution, shaping the world, building that veggie garden, taking your vocational work to another space, blah, blah, etc. And I've got a very nice book that I've kept out as well, and it's about also the homemaker. So I don't know if any of you have been organizing your homes and cooking and doing all of that right now, because it's very much Cancerian. I have anyway been doing that. So we're going to do our practical here so you can see. There's another thing I could do, and maybe just move this not so much in the glare. You see what I'm saying, Paul? So the glares, it's not so glary.
Right.
Okay, these are the glasses. Yeah. Okay. Of course, you would have a table there, wouldn't you? Okay. So let's just see if we do it this way. That's much less glary for you. But then we must just see that we get the table in. How does this work? Phil, how are we going to do this? Oh, actually, I can see what's happening. It's actually fine. Sorry, I was looking on the small.
If I could just get Helen can,
We've just
like
started.
to be my subject to practice on just now when we do the practical. Okay.
No,
I just need a chair over here just now, Jane.
Can I find a little chair?
Oh yeah, I've got just the chair for you, of course.
Oh, that'll be great, Jane.
Hello.
How are you, Sharon?
Bit nerve-wracking, driving through these huge big intersections with no traffic lights on.
Oh.
Hello, Johnson, Sharon.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
You?
You know each other, Helen?
Yes.
From last time?
We met last time.
Helen, should we move this table? We're going to need it. Hey, Phil? Is that right? We're going to need to move it. We're going to do practical here on this mat, aren't we?
No, we can do it on the chair because I want to do a seated one.
You're going to, so we don't need to move here.
No,
Oh, fine. Perfect.
Don't you need a chair?
No, I do it standing.
Oh.
Yeah. So when I give my talk, I can do it standing, if that's okay.
Do you want to be square on with the... Oh, you actually are square on.
I'm square on.
You are square on. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Perfect. I would like to just take that last little bit out. That's okay.
Tennis is on today, so I suppose. There's my copper
Lovely.
All right.
inserts.
Wow.
Jane?
Yeah.
My copper inserts.
Oh, nice. All right, we'll look at those in a moment. We're live, so we want to start. All right. And so Phil, you're going to be happy over there.
I'm good.
And then where
Yeah.
are we in this? Where are we? Heaven? Yeah, but it doesn't matter where we are as long as it's on full pay. So, you happy to sit here?
You want, well, just now. Yes, I'm happy to sit
So
here.
if we could just move it a little bit over to that side.
This whole thing.
Yeah, that's okay. That should be fine.
We've got a bit of more space. Look.
Yeah, you wanted to get it out of the glare.
I did.
Is that okay? Yeah. Great.
This is great coming from how you see Phil. This is going to be useful.
Ah,
All right, that looks good, hey? So, oh, did I pull the wrong one? I think it's this one. Hello, so give me a hand here. I just want to
sorry.
put it where do I want to put it? Yeah, that part. That part.
okay, look at the screen.
Okay. Okay, so somewhere there.
Jen, I think you've got your top inside out.
I thought so when I put it on. No, but I didn't.
You've got your label on the
I
side
looked at
and
it
on
too
the back.
many times. Yes, Phil, so it's towards that cupboard.
Easy done. Yeah.
How's that?
So it's only 2 hours.
Can I help you move that while you look, Jane?
There's just where's it coming from? There, you see that one little bit. Yeah, it's coming from. I think we're going to have to put it behind this little cupboard. Yeah, let's get this out of the way. We'll have to
Okay,
sneak
so
that
look
door
inside.
in there.
Across me.
Yeah, because the blaze coming in from this little corner.
There, you blocked that.
I blocked it out. I'll just make sure that this guy's stable, because. All right, is that good, Helen? Yeah,
that's
perfect,
better.
Phil.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Normally we would just jump outside, but we got everything sorted now. Hey. Yeah. Okay. And then my phone, what did I do with it? I just don't want it to ring.
I have no idea where your phone is. I don't know why that pot's on that chair.
Okay, we'll deal
So
with it.
in place.
All right.
This pot on the chair is there for a reason.
I've washed.
Before someone sits on it.
So yeah, Linda and her sister, Linda's birthday. Do you want some paper, Sharon?
Please, that would be lovely.
Okay.
Are we good? All right. So my field, are we good? Can they see properly?
Yeah. Let's see, there's one message here. Okay, there we go. We're all on. We're ready.
Okay. Right. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Philip Johnson. My field is shiatsu. It's finger pressure therapy, which is the direct translation. I have a background in martial arts, and I've veered into assisting people to balance their body. So what I'm going to do is basically give you a background on shiatsu. And shiatsu is the innate ability of the body to heal itself. Now, the history of shiatsu is very, very short. Shiatsu was pioneered in Japan, but the background of shiatsu is finger pressure. So we have a combination of the shift from probably Asia, China, to Japan. The growth of shiatsu started at the beginning of the last century, and it was only recognized by the Japanese government in about 1950. I've learned the basics of shiatsu, and through the basics of shiatsu, I've learned more about how the body gives us certain messages that are reactionary to our system. So what I'd like to do basically is do some practical work. So most of us work in a sedentary position, and so we're sitting on our backside most of the time. And there's a tendency for the neck and the shoulder to get incredibly stiff. Sometimes the jaws tend to tighten because we don't breathe properly, and that's another topic as well. Breath is incredibly important. So as far as the chi is concerned, if you're not breathing correctly, the chi doesn't flow properly. Most of us are living and working in stressful conditions, and therefore we tend to breathe very, very shallow. So when we consider the organ and the lung in this case, the lung stretches from up here to down there, all right? Most of us only use about that much, okay? Half the lung is not being utilized. So in order to do that, we have to try to get the breath down to this level over here. And the best way to do it is just by putting your hands on your stomach. Imagine there's a balloon in this area over here. As you inhale, you inflate the balloon, and as you exhale, you deflate the balloon, okay? I prefer to inhale and exhale through the nose. So I inhale through the nose, expand the balloon, and exhale through the nose. Sorry, exhale. Inhale and exhale. At this point in time, if you inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, that's fine. But do practice inhaling and exhaling through the nose. So in order to get to the practical part, I'm just going to ask Helen, if that's okay with you, Helen, just to join in over here. I'm going to move this chair in this position, I think. Yeah. And then if you'd like to sit down, please, Helen. Thank you very much. Right, so it's very simple as far as loosening the shoulders are concerned, okay? So what I do is take the thumbs and the index fingers and then place my hands on the shoulders. And then I work from there, and I try to work on the scapula moving up to the neck. Can you feel that, Helen? So the movement is just actually sliding up like so, okay? And I'm just doing a twirling action. And at the same time, my fingers are pulling up. It's like kneading dough, okay? So
I can feel our needles.
So on the left-hand side now, I can feel that Helen has nodules over here. Can you feel that, Helen? Okay. If you feel these nodules in that position, use your thumb and twirl in that area. As you're twirling, you're doing a full action and your hands are moving in that direction. You're twirling a little bit more in the nodule and you're pushing out, okay? And you go down as low as you can to the scapula. Okay, so we've done the shoulder now, and then we're going to go to the neck, all right? I'm going to stand on the side over here, and I'm going to take my fingers like so. Again, emphasis is on the thumb. You're also using these other fingers, all right, but not as tightly as the thumb, okay? And then I'll put it on the side of the neck, all right, from the base of the skull, okay? Then I will take the palm of my hand and place it in front of the face, like so. Then you can just lean into it, just slightly. Yep, good, excellent. So I have some pressure on my hand, okay? And then I will work one. As I'm pressing, I'm going to hold that position for a while, sometimes 5 seconds, but feel, okay? It's important that you feel. And then move down 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, let's do that. So I'm moving from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pretty tight then, isn't it? Okay. I want you also at the same time just to listen, okay? Feel what your fingers feel. Is the tightness more on the left or on the right-hand side? That's the basic movement over here. What I'm going to do now is just check and ask Helen to turn the head to the right.
Tell you, which is that?
Helen, please turn your head to the right.
I turn.
How does that feel?
It's amazing.
Is it pulling anywhere? Even if it's a slight pull, please let me know.
Not right now.
Okay, turn it to the left.
Yes, there was a little twinge as I started turning.
All right, put your finger on the area.
It was somewhere.
Okay, that's okay.
I just felt a little
Back to the
twinge.
center again, please, Helen.
Mhm.
All right. That left-hand side, very tight, Helen. So sometimes if the left is feeling tighter, but she's feeling the pain on the right-hand side, the left might be compensating or overcompensating for the right-hand side. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to loosen this side just a little bit more by taking my thumb and placing it over the other thumb, like so, and placing both my hands on either side of her shoulder and pressing down from her neck on the shoulder itself. So this is what I'm doing. I'm pressing down, all right? And I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's test the neck again, Helen. Turn the head to the left. How's it feeling now?
It made a slight tweak, but not as loud as the last time.
Okay. Is it moving any better?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Let's say that the neck is tighter. Okay. So what I will do over here is ask Helen to raise her elbow and place my hand over it and take my hand, my thumb again, and just place it in the center over here and press down on it. Okay, so I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you feel that? 5. Okay, once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you feel a tightness over here, and that tends to release the neck as well. 4, 5. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'm going to go to the rotator cuff from the back, like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll do the rotator cuff from the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm just going to ask the subject to test her neck again if she had that problem of a very, very tight neck. Just try it again, please, Helen. Let's just see what happens this time.
To the left.
To the
first.
left. Any change at all?
There's no tweak.
There's no tweak.
No.
Okay, that's excellent.
No tweak.
How are you doing?
No, good.
Just rotate the shoulders. How does that feel?
Very much looser.
Much looser.
Yes.
Excellent.
No, it feels sure.
Okay, so
Almost clears your head.
Helen, do you suffer from headaches?
Not particularly. no.
Okay,
Mm-mm.
all right, which is fine. So we're going to deal with the points that you can work on for a headache. Okay, so Helen, we'll get you to turn sideways. Okay, so if you could stand up,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to just turn the chair this way. Okay, so from here, sorry, Helen.
No.
If you look at the temple, we've got this position over here, stretching right to the ear. Okay, so again, you can use any part of your finger, whichever is convenient. I'm going to put some pressure on the side of her head this time, and just press over here. Right back to the joint. And then from this point over here, we're going to go to these points over here. It's at the top of the ear, so you're going to use your knuckle like so, okay? And you're going to apply pressure just at the top of the ear. And then one finger above that. And then we're going to go to the bottom of the ear.
It's sore, Helen.
How are you feeling, Helen?
I can feel that it's doing something.
Okay.
And I'll explain. Oh,
Do you tend to grind your teeth, Helen?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Which is fine. It's great. Then obviously to balance it out, I'm going to do the other side as well.
Feels very relaxing. My dentist never said I've ground my teeth.
Perfect. Excellent. So if you find that people have got a tight jaw, they tend to grind their teeth, these pressure points are excellent for that. Top of the ear.
Are you making a circle with a knuckle or just pressure?
Just pressure.
Pressure.
Just pressure.
Is it not sore, Helen?
Mm-mm.
And then one finger above that.
I mean, it's pressure, but it's not.
Okay.
And then the bottom of the ear. And then one finger beneath that.
Should be good for TMJ.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah. And we'll take one step further for the TMJ. Okay.
That's quite sore there. No.
Breathing. That's it. So it's vital when you're doing pressure point therapy, if your subject is not breathing, just remind them to breathe. Okay? It's part of the chi flowing. Okay, and then the next step is to put your hands beneath the chin, using your fingers again, and just drawing up along the jawbone up to the ear. You feel that?
Mm?
The left side is definitely tighter. This is also good for sinuses.
That last movement.
All of these that
All
I've
of
done.
them. Okay.
Okay, the points over here. All these over here. All right, on the neck as well. Okay, also good to relieve sinuses as well. Okay. Open and close your jaw. How's that feeling? Okay.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I never really practiced this before.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's
But
good.
as you say,
Yeah. What are you noticing?
I'm noticing, obviously you've worked on some loosening here,
Yeah.
and I can feel it
Yeah, released.
released, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Helen.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That was
it's a
amazing.
pleasure.
Sure. I'm so glad I was your subject.
So,
Wow. That was amazing.
so the mandible joint is very, very vital because many of us, without realizing it, have got a very, very tight jaw. Okay? And sometimes we can work on the mandible joint by just tapping like so. Okay? So this is basically what we call Nekong, which is bone massage or bone therapy. Okay, so you just tap, 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 and that will loosen the jaw. Okay, so if you've got a very, very tight jaw, don't expect results the first time. You're going to have to do it constantly, and eventually the jaw will loosen up. All right. So at this point in time, are there any questions?
What about if you haven't got someone to do it for you?
These movements you can work on yourself.
You can, eh?
Yeah,
That's what I've been doing.
yeah, absolutely. And you've got the bamboo stick, all right? So if you've got a soft object, all right, that you can use to just smack against it, that's fine as well, okay? And then also tapping the top of the head is also very, very important, okay? like your brain has to be stimulated, because the reason why we get headaches is because we're not getting enough blood into the brain, and the blood is not circulating sufficiently in the brain. So obviously, this helps to get the blood moving. We've got to understand as well that the marrow in the bone plays an important part in your body, because the marrow produces the blood. If we don't have that fuel, we can live a good life, we can eat properly, but if we don't use our consciousness to move that blood, then the blood becomes stagnant. It will get stuck and disease will occur. So it's important from not just a physical point of view, but from a conscious point of view. Okay? So Nei Kung Qi Kung basically is using the mind to move the qi. Okay? Pressure points generally is to use your physical body and the breath to move the qi. All right? So, thank you, Jane.
Yeah.
So this is a bamboo stick, basically. It's very, very soft. All right? And if you wanted to massage yourself, you could use something very similar to this. I'll just go through the movement so you can see this yourself. Okay. If I've got a tight jaw, that's what I will do.
What's that for? Along the arm? Or getting the blood moving?
Yeah, to get the chi moving. Absolutely. Okay. So this is all bone marrow Nei Kung. Okay. So we're stimulating the cells over here to really work. Okay. Because the body tends to get stagnant. Okay. So I would always basically say that it's not the mind that's stagnant, the body that's stagnant. Okay. And then from the back. And then if I'm going to do the legs, and on the inside, and then of course, if I'm going to do the foot, then I can do that. So there are many, many ways that you can massage your own body. Love yourself. TLC. Thank you very much, Jane. So there was a good question over here. Jane asked what happens if you don't have a partner to do it on you. An important point is the navel. All right. So when you get down to the navel, you split the navel into time zones. So at the top of the navel, you'll have 12 o'clock. And then you'll go in a clockwise direction. In other words, to your left, to 3 o'clock, and then down to the bottom at 6, then at 9, and then back to 12 again. So if you go to your navel and you work on those areas, 12, so what I'm doing is I'm taking my finger and I'm twirling around. Okay, I'm going to that point. I'm trying to find if there's any sensitivity anywhere. So at 12, I seem to be okay. Going to 3, it's tender. 3 is tender. Then I'm going to 6. Six seems to be okay. Then I'm going to go to 9. So there's a tenderness for me at 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So I'm going to go back to 3 o'clock again and just work on that area a little bit longer.
Using your index finger, did you say, or thumb?
Any finger.
Oh, any.
Any finger, whichever is convenient. So I'm actually using my second finger in this case.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm going to massage it until it's released, until the pressure isn't there any longer.
And that's clockwise, eh?
It doesn't matter, Jane.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Okay, that feels, that's feeling better already. Okay, I'll go across to 9 o'clock. So this is related to Qinate Sum, which is the Chinese method of pressure point therapy. Okay, Qinate Sum is related to the navel area because this is the Dantian. Okay, we stay in Taoism basically that your center of your universe is located in this area. All right, and therefore your reactive or reaction to any problem that you may be experiencing will reflect itself in the organs first. Okay, organs will tell you what the problem is. Okay, on a psychological basis. But at the same time, once you clear the negative energy in that organ, then you'll free that organ. Okay, that's why TLC is important all the time. Tender, loving care. Okay, learn to love your body, learn to listen to your body. Now, specifically, if I mentioned early on, and I asked Helen whether she could feel whether it was more that tightness on the left-hand side. So, Helen, which side of the body did you feel was more out of balance, left or right?
You said it was the left, but I felt it on the right.
Okay, so the way I would interpret this, and this is from the experience that I've received, and this is from doing a lot of family constellation, because I can't talk about that now. I'll talk about that later. But when we're doing shiatsu and we're looking at the body and we're looking at the imbalances in the body, I'm not looking at the physical imbalances. I'm looking at the emotional imbalances. So I'm going to ask personal questions here.
Yeah, welcome to.
Okay. So your left-hand side, in my opinion, was
The tightest side.
more out of balance than your right-hand side. Okay. Left is feminine. Right is masculine. Left is mom stuff. Right is dad stuff. And it appears that you're carrying a lot of your mom stuff.
Well, I lost my mom at a very young age.
How old were you?
12.
Okay, so the connection, you lost that connection. Now, at 12 years of age, as far as family constellation, is a massive trauma. Okay, because between the time you're born and up to the age of 12, okay, we call it a reaching out. All right, and it's a case of like at that point you didn't have the tools to reach out. There was nothing to reach to because something that was solid there was gone, wasn't there any longer. Okay, and it's a point of Helen. The body is basically saying that you've been carrying that, even though you've probably done a lot of work on it. You're still carrying it since the age of 12.
And I tend to agree with you because in those days, no one gave her 2 roots, you know, no therapy, no one, you just carried on.
Correct.
So it was only much later in my life. And in fact, it wasn't something I went to automatically either, you know?
Well, actually, it was, if you think about it. You know, it was a case of like, I've experienced this, how can I help other people?
You did.
Okay? And it's a case of like, so why is the right kind of feeling more pain? And remember I said about the compensation part? All right, but the right has been overcompensating, okay? Because the role model now becomes the father. Okay, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. Okay, the father is the support system now. Okay, the support structure. So we move to the example of the male. Okay, and we overbalance. All right, and we take that example and we place it into our own life. And we tend to forget the feminine side. Okay, and what is the feminine side? The feminine side is the creative part. Right. So we've got to get that balance back again, with from the male side back to the center, to be able to give mom a place now. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So this goes back to epigenetics. Okay. That's where we're linked incredibly to our parents. We cannot discount our parents, and I can't overemphasize that point. So no matter how you see your parents, whether it's in a good light or a bad light, and in many cases, when it's in a bad light, we tend to discount our parents. At the same time, we also have to remember the gift that our parents has given to us. Okay, whether it's good or bad, they've given us a gift. And what is that gift?
Love.
They've given us life. Okay, and it's our responsibility to do something with that life. So, going back to mom and dad again, all right, if we look at the chi, all right, in Taoist philosophy, your strongest energy is your sexual energy. So, the obvious question is over here, you didn't come out of just fresh air like that. Well, from an esoteric point of view, you did come out of fresh air. But from the reality that we're living over here, you were formed biologically. And in order to be formed, there was the male and the female that had to come together to bring you into fruition. Okay? Even though in my belief is that you chose those parents. Okay? And it's a case of you chose those parents because you wanted to learn the lesson in this lifetime. So, in order to experience this lesson in this lifetime, you also at the same time have to go back to our parents and ask ourselves, basically, am I repeating the same pattern that my parents experienced? Okay? So, in the case with Helen, the questions I would ask her, basically, and Helen, you don't have to answer these questions. It's okay. Is at the age of 12, and in your life, was there a feeling of abandonment?
Definitely.
Okay.
Huge.
Yeah. And
Massive.
it's a case of like, did that abandonment subside?
I
Okay.
don't think so. I think it's remained, you know.
It's like your
you're
core.
sensitive.
Your core. So when we talk about sensitivity, Helen, are you reactive to that?
I am. Very.
Okay.
Very sensitive.
And the question over here is that if I am reactive to it, and now I've found out what the core issue is, how do I reconnect to my own core? Okay? To my internal self. Right. What do you think, Helen?
To the body. Like you said.
I'm going to say through the body.
Through the body.
But, again, remember mom and dad?
Yourself. To see, to integrate.
To integrate.
Right.
And to connect with mom. And to give mom a place. So the next question I'm going to ask you is, Helen, can you see mom?
Yeah.
Okay, clearly. Okay, what would mom say to you?
I love you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if mom says to you, I love you, okay, is your heart full?
Yes.
With love?
Yes.
Because you can feel her love.
Yeah.
And that love is projecting onto you. Okay? Mom would also say, you have my blessings to have the full life.
I'm getting tears.
Right? I haven't gone anywhere. I've always been with you. Always. I've always held you in my arms. I've always embraced you. Just breathe.
Yes.
Okay, that's when we hold our breath.
Oh,
Okay. Breathe nice and deep, all the way down to the dantian, to the core. You know, you just feel yourself, you know,
he's going to put my hands in.
that, put it there. Feel yourself, that rebirthing process. Okay? And as you came out into this new world and Mom looked at you, how did she look at you?
With loving eyes.
With loving eyes. Okay? My girl, my baby, my dear one, always my dear one, forever. Can you feel it?
Thank you.
So what in Diamond Constellation, basically, you would say, Helen, respectfully, Mom, I leave your fate with you. Say that to her, Helen.
Say that again, Mom.
Respectfully, Mom, I leave your fate, F-A-T-E, with you.
I leave your fate with you.
Yeah. So, respectfully, Mom,
Respectfully, Mom,
I leave your fate with you.
I leave your fate with you.
How does that feel?
It was very calming.
Yeah. Relax. And embrace Mom.
And
And
very
feel-
warm here in the center.
And feel Mom embracing you. What's happening?
Connection.
Connection. And just say this to Mom. Mom, I've missed you.
Mom, I must be.
So what is she doing?
Just embracing.
That calmness thing. No. Just be enveloped by that.
It's just that body connection. Yes, that warmth.
Right. Yeah.
Peace.
Okay.
Real connection.
So we've taken out of that model, okay, and we've enlarged it, and this is where we are at the moment. And
Amazing.
it's been a very short process, and it's a case of like we don't have the time and the luxury to spend hours and hours and days and months to find out what's really wrong. Okay, we have to get to the core of the issue and really delve down. It doesn't matter how hard it becomes. You've got to be brave and courageous enough to say to yourself that I've chosen this. They need to bring it on. Okay, whatever I need to face now, I have the courage to do that. Okay, I have the tools to work on it and transform. I always say that basically that life is moving from one level of consciousness to another level of consciousness, and there's no end to it. Okay, if I have to do something that's going to hurt me, okay, which is not really hurt, it's a case of like, then I must expose myself to it. Okay, and try to develop from that. Are we good?
Wonderful.
Great. Okay.
Thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure. Yeah.
It was really enlightening.
So, any other questions at this point in time?
Look, I wouldn't mind asking, because what you were working around this whole area,
Yeah.
the mind field, is that vagus nerve.
Yes.
That's all around there. And that's important to work along those areas to bring you back into the ventral vagal, which is letting your body relax,
Correct.
that you calm, and that's when your body can heal. So that was quite amazing. And I do lots of energy work as well. So with the organs and the parts of the body and the acupuncture points.
Right.
But what was intriguing for me is the belly button area,
Right.
the clock.
Yes.
I've never heard of that before. What's the difference? The top, the 3, the 6, What
So
organs is
we've
that?
got to look at the diagonals as well. Okay, so that's another topic altogether. But if we look at the diagonals, what do you see over here?
Eggs.
It's a hexagon.
Mm.
This represents the hexagon.
Octagon.
Sorry, octagon.
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 Yes,
You're right.
octagon.
Octagon. X is what? 6?
6, yes.
6 octagon. Forgive me. Okay.
It's important.
All right.
That's why I said it.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Jane. So we're looking at the cycle of the energy in the octagon. Okay. So it's represented in this area over here. All right. So it's all linked over here. All right. It's part of the whole. Okay. We have to incorporate the whole body. That's why it's important not to just get into the head. If you move just into the head space, and we're very good at that, we become so intellectual. It's a case of like, that's all that matters. This is my reality. Okay. And my reality extends beyond this point. Okay. My reality actually goes to this point as well, and to the sexual organs, to that point as well. All right. I cannot discount this. If we look at the bottom of the foot, we have K1, which is kidney 1 position. So we've got to link with that as well. We've got to link with the hands also. Every point in your body is important. Okay. You cannot neglect any part of the body. Okay. When I had classes with my Qigong master, every day there would be new exercises, different exercises, etc., etc. And the students would say, there's only 24 hours in a day. I can't do all of this. And he would say, well, just do what you can. If it's only 5 minutes or it's only 10 minutes, it's okay. Because what happens is that as you're doing these exercises, they all integrate each other, all right, with each other. And the whole body becomes in, and it goes back to that energetic field. And it goes back to that position where you can connect more from an organic point of view. Okay? We can be a real primal being. Okay? So it's a case of letting go. Okay? And just being. Right? Any other questions? Is there anything else that I've left out, Jane?
Yeah, well, I think what I'm picking up from you and what we've spoken about before too, if we wanted to be evolve ourselves as humans and move to these next levels and connect, we've got to get ourselves connected. I think right at a DNA level, we've got to connect that, and that's always that cross as well, the DNA. It's actually the double DNA cross, it's the octagon. You see, there's a double DNA spin. So we have to, or we don't have to, but if we're taking this through now to human evolution and human authenticity, and we need to connect at that inner little swirl that started with, when we came, but our whole lineage brought this through. So reference for them is very important. I'll come to that now. And then I think actually, first of all, if we acknowledge them first, all right, our lineage, it doesn't matter, our continuum, whoever was part of our continuum needs to be acknowledged, and there needs to be peace. And that's what I get speaking to you about all of that and acknowledging my parents and grandparents and lineages. I feel completely fulfilled. I feel absolutely at peace. When I'm at peace, my DNA can then connect in my cells and then the whole entire body. And then I can connect with other people authentically. It's no use putting, window dressing on and putting masks on and things. And that's why I think it's vital, these building blocks that you're placing. And when you started about, we discount our parents and this kind of thing, it can't be. I've learned that, I've seen it, and I understand also that they're in the light now. So whatever good, bad hasn't happened, betrayal or not or whatever. What did I learn from that? Because there was a specific mission. You needed to learn these things. Thank you. And now we can connect on a much higher level. So maybe fill the gaps in with what I'm saying there, because I don't know it all.
Well, it's there's a question that normally comes up with most of us, and it's always why. Okay, in this case of there's no why. There's only is. Okay, it is what it is, and yes, we can spend many hours answering the why question, but we may not have the right answer. Okay, it's a case of like, the more I ask the why question, the more I intellectualize the problem. And then when I start intellectualizing the problem, then this is forgotten. I move away from the heart again. But if the heart is open, okay, what does the heart represent? It represents love. Okay, if the heart is open, and this is the point I have as well about forgiveness. It's a case of like, if my heart is open and I love unconditionally, is it for me to forgive someone else? It's not. Okay, this is my personal opinion. Okay, and it's an opinion of many people that do family constellation. When I say to someone, I forgive you, I place myself on a pedestal, and I say to myself, I'm good enough to forgive you, and therefore you're smaller than I am.
There's no humbleness at all.
There's absolutely no humbleness. Okay.
It's almost thank you.
Well,
Would be better.
yes, it's a case of like, I don't condone what you've just done. All right. But if I don't take back what you've just done, I don't forgive myself. If I'm reactive to what you've just done, I'm reactive to myself, because I'm reacting from an inner core. Okay, and you've just come into my space to bring up that inner core within myself, so I can go within again and again work on that problem. Okay, so in Ho'oponopono, basically, we always say you have to take 100% responsibility. Okay, and so it's a case of like, whatever happens in our life and whatever hurt has been done to us, it's a case of like, well, we've actually asked for those things to be presented to us, and if we go on the negative side, backwards in other words, and react to it, okay, and become reactive to the situation instead of becoming proactive to the situation, then who's going to be harmed? Not the other person. Remember, they always say that, what's the point in being angry? Because when you're angry, that other person doesn't get affected by your anger. All right? When you're angry, you're holding it within yourself. Okay? So it's a case of like, why? Why are you doing this to yourself? But if you do recognize it, because in many, many cases, many people justify their actions by saying that it's okay to be angry, okay? It's okay to be sad and to react to that, all right? But if I'm doing it to harm other people, then it doesn't help for me to express it that way. I've got to be very aware of the beings around me, okay? And if I express my love, then I have to express it from a reaction point of view, okay? Not a negative reaction, from a positive reaction, okay? And of course, I'm going to not be in that position all the time. We're all different, and we all have our problems, okay? Sometimes I'll just react because that's the way I'm made. But if I'm aware of it, then I can hold back. That's why I always say that before you react, take a deep breath, okay? And then ask yourself, is this appropriate for that particular situation? Will I be hurt by reacting the way I'm reacting? Or will I be hurt by approaching it from a softer point of view? Okay. So remember, life must flow, okay, like water. And it's a case of like when water meets a rock, it goes around the rock, okay? And eventually, after centuries, it'll go through the rock. Okay. So you have a very, very soft element over here, which is water. And you have a very, very solid element, which is the rock. So which is more powerful? It's the water that's more powerful. Okay. So if we can flow like water, then it will help us to progress and get to that level that we're trying to. The word over here is not achieved, because once you get to that point, you won't know you've reached that point. Okay? It's a case of like, it's just a continual growth all the time, and one has to just go with the flow. Okay?
The river shape the rock into a different shape. If it goes round, instead of it being like that, it may end up like this.
The rock becomes the shape of the water.
Yeah.
And the water flows into the sea eventually.
Yeah.
Okay. And the saying also is that the wave is not a wave without the sea. The sea is not the sea without the wave. Okay. So I want to go back also to our center, because when we come into this world, we're actually complete. Okay. It doesn't matter whether we have any physical deformities or even mental deformities. We come into this world complete, okay, because we come into this world with unconditional love. If we've come into this world with those, we'll call them handicaps at this point in time, it's a case of we've chosen that. We've chosen that to learn how we should grow from that particular handicap. So if we take coming into this world from the center, and this is what's happening in the world today, we should be moving from the center. If we look at the wheel, we've got the center of the wheel, and we've got the spokes that surround the wheel. Okay, so we come into the world in that circle, okay, which is whole. And then we move out to the circumference. Okay, we've got many, many circumferences that we move out to. And because life is so fast-paced and so stressful, we miss some of those circles. We skip the circle, and then we move to another circle. We may skip the next circle, and we move to another circle. So when we do the skipping part, what happens?
Yeah.
There's a gap over there. We're missing out on life lessons. Okay? We're missing out on the experience of the fulfillment of life. When we get out to the outer rim, and we want to get back to the center again, and we've got those gaps over there, do you think that's going to be very easy? It's not. Okay. That's why many of us are unbalanced, because we're trying to find the center. And we're going to be searching, many of us are going to be searching all our life for that center. And maybe in this lifetime, some of us won't find it. The good news is that if we recognize that and we know that our journey in life is that circle, because we started from that point, there hasn't actually been a journey, because we're at that point anyway. We've just got to get back to it. These circumferences are just reality that we've created. Okay? So we must go back to this area, okay, to the center, to be the whole, and then to be the understanding. Any questions?
Do you feel that your that maybe past life that you bring that through, or you're affected by something like past life?
All right, so I'm going to use the subject only of constellation and the patterns of the genetical pattern. It's easy to explain from that point of view, first of all.
Okay.
Then I'll discuss past life. So there is one belief. The belief is that we tend to, and remember, our past lives runs into thousands. Okay, so at once, in that scale, there's a choice that we make that I'm going to use this family line because this family line will give me the experiences that I need to learn from. Okay, so I will use that family line for the experience. So we're going back again to family constellation and to the epigenetics that may go back to about, we don't know. It might be 50, it might be 60, we don't know. Generations. Okay. So if we expand that, and this is the why question, if we expand that to past lives, it's a case of like, there's so many combinations that one can use. If I use the combination of the family, then I use the tools that are required for family constellation. If I look at past lives, then I use the tools related to past lives that are unrelated to family constellation. Do you get my point over there?
Yeah.
Okay, because again, what I'm saying is that there's no link over here.
Yeah, okay.
But in the grand scheme of things, it's all linked, isn't
No, it is.
it? Okay.
So, so past lives can be other lineages.
Yeah.
You see, not only the same.
So if we take the past life situation with respect to the people that will use that path, okay, for the clarity,
Yeah.
it's a case of, repeat your question again.
Do you bring in, say, problems or maybe connect what you need to learn
Right.
in this lifetime to past lives?
Okay. So it's a case of very similar to family constellation, isn't it? All right. Past lives are going to teach you all the things that you've done in the past lives, and in my opinion, are reflecting in your present life. Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you going to use that now if you experience it in this life? And the reason why I'm going into past life now is because when you practice when you do some Taoist practices, you link up with the cosmos, okay? And when you link with the cosmos, you can either link up to past life on a generational level or past lives relating to past lives, okay? The consciousness is incredible, all right? So when I did that, I downloaded 3 past lives in about 10 minutes. Okay. And I'm saying now, for me, it was a case of like identifying with those past lives and saying, so why was I given those examples of the past lives? It's because every past life, every past life was a pattern of what I was following in the present life. Okay. So I could see that link immediately. And then when I did the family constellation, I could link it more clearly now. Okay? Because I could link it physically with something I could touch. Okay? And it was easier for me to link it that way. So I have respect for people that use the path of family of past life therapy. And if it works for them, that's great. Okay. So for me, family constellation works. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because I know I did a course and it was based on the fact that if you go back 14 generations, that's already 1 million people, generally 1 million people that you know, in terms of scientific, there's your DNA, in terms of spiritual beliefs, you know, that's totally different, but somehow they connect together anyway.
Yeah, the numbers don't matter.
It's the same pattern, what you
The
say.
same thing. Yeah.
So Phil, we all therapists, and there's some therapists also listening in. Are you saying to us, when people come and see us, and for our own growth too, people are looking for their center point?
Right.
Is that a simplified statement? All the story and everything around it, at the end of the day, I know we're looking for peace, and that peace in that center point.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to, however it might be, the catalyst will be take someone to you or me or you, and that's just the catalyst, because we might just be going to have the key to unlock it for them, whatever. But at the end of the day, that's what we're looking
So
for.
mathematically, when we look at it, what does that represent?
A circle, 360 degrees.
And?
Sphere.
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we are, isn't it? On a spiritual level, that's what we are. We're nothing. So if we go back to nothing, we become everything. Okay? But this body that we have over here is actually everything, because we've made it that important. So when are we going to kind of say, well, it's not everything. There's more to this than meets the eye. Okay? It's not a case of standing in front of the mirror every day and saying, that's life. Okay. No? We have to expand that reality that we've created, which is not a reality. It's a case of zero. Okay? And that zero means that it's multidimensional. So we only see 3 dimensions. Okay? And scientifically they've found many dimensions.
Infinite.
Okay? So it's a case of like, if there are that level of dimensions that we only aware of at this point in time, what about our consciousness? Have we put it into this little case and it's not expanding? All right. So in order to expand, we need to go back to zero again. Okay. And in order to go back to zero, we have to take 100% responsibility. Yeah.
It's nice though. It's almost like a rewind and reset. And what did they Control Alt Delete? on the computer when you reset the whole thing.
Absolutely. It's a case of like a good example is that you remember you had that chalkboard and you did this and it cleared everything off the chalkboard.
Yeah.
And you can rewrite whatever's on the chalkboard. So it's a case of like, take responsibility. Boom. I now have a blank slate, and then
with awareness. Because awareness is the thing. Otherwise, just monkey talk and thinking, and it's going.
I feel a lot of people are not aware anyway, and when they lay the blame not with themselves but their parents and maybe their grandparents, I find they don't consider that their parents lived in a totally different generation, a different age. Mass consciousness was totally different than what it is today. They don't consider what happened to their parents in their lifetime, which affected them in the way their parents reacted, or what happened in the grandparents, so the way the parents reacted, and sort of pass that on. And some people are aware, and some people will think, I didn't like this about my parents, I'm not going to do the same. Either one of the parents drank too much, I don't want to be like that, so I'm not going to drink. But a lot of people just are so into themselves and what's happening now in this age, and they'll blame their parents for all sorts of things without any consideration of the times that they grew up and what was acceptable and what was normal, and you know, just never even have consideration for that.
So why don't I take a whip and just start whipping myself?
Mm.
Because that's what they do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm. Continuously.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And that's not taking 100% responsibility.
Mm.
All right. It's always about the parent.
And on Skio, that is one question it asks when you load somebody onto the Skio. It asks you, you know, what are you, how responsible are you, you know, for yourself? Like,
Yeah, and
yes, yeah.
So,
Yeah, you know, a good example of that, especially for mothers, okay, when that child is born and you're holding that child in your arms and it looks at you in the eyes, what is that message you're getting from that child? Yeah.
Mm.
That child is saying, I love you.
Mm.
Okay. Many times the mother's incapable of saying that to herself.
Mm.
So the question over here is that if that child is saying, I love you,
Yeah.
and that kind of child can see the love, why is it that you can't love yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So this continual blame game that we'll perpetrate for the rest of our lives, okay, and we'll go back and smack us continuously, okay, what you resist will persist. If you resist this thought, okay, it's going to persist and it's going to come back again. And it's probably going to bite you harder the next time. Okay? And if you want to go through life being bitten all the time, then
choice.
good luck to you. Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's a case of like if you haven't given yourself place and you're giving your parents this, you're building them up to this on this massive platform of hate and anger, okay, then those parents will be like this all the time. And you'll be under their thumb. It's not their fault, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Because you haven't taken responsibility by saying, I bow to you. Okay? You've given me life. You've given me the opportunity to be a parent. Okay? You put a roof over my head. You've helped me put a roof over my head. And actually, the things you've done has given me the gift to do what I'm doing now.
All about gratitude.
It's about gratitude and the fact that we don't see the other side of the coin. Okay, we only see one side of the coin. That becomes incredibly biased. And what happens to the body? Goes out of balance. Okay, until it finds that center again. And then when it finds that center, then the body's going to get balanced again. And then we can move away from things like disease or dis-ease and embrace health. Okay? And it's a case of, well, that's what I came to this world for. Okay? To embrace life. Because if I embrace health, I become that organic thing. Okay? I become nature. Right? If I embrace nature, then I'm embracing myself. Okay. As soon as I embrace myself, then I become part of this. And who wouldn't want to be part of this? Okay. So I think we're incredibly fortunate people. Right. So I don't want to talk about privilege or anything like that. Because even the poor people are very, very happy people.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more.
And
Sometimes more.
They're more indigenous.
I always say to people who tend to think you're so fortunate, and I said, well, money doesn't bring you fortune. You know, look at the people who've got nothing. They've got a bigger smile than you have.
That's true.
Yeah.
So Phil, what is the link here? What is first? Honoring your parents so that you get a place and the opportunity to fulfill your life, and then honoring yourself, or honoring yourself first, or What is the first step? Okay, let's just say 5 practical steps now. We've heard this beautiful information. What are we going to do? What boxes do we need to tick to make sure that we're on our way now to the next level of evolution, would you say?
Okay, let's take an example of an orphan, okay, that has never known their parents.
Yes, good.
Okay, and some orphans grow up to be incredibly balanced people, okay, but some orphans grow up to be unfulfilled, and they are totally unfulfilled just because their parents haven't been given a place. All right, let's say it was a teenage pregnancy and the child had to be given up for adoption because that parent wouldn't have been able to look after that child. So that child already has received a blessing by going to a family that can look after them.
Yeah.
Okay. But that child now is adopted to new parents to be his only parent. And therefore, by doing that, he's discounted the fact that he has got biological parents. All right? But he wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't for his biological parents. Okay. He's away from the center. He's got to get back to the center. How does he get back to the center? By acknowledging his biological parents.
Yeah. So that's the beginning point, eh?
For most people.
Yes.
Okay. That's my model.
That's what we're hearing, and it's making sense.
Yeah. Okay. This is also the Taoist philosophy. Okay. That the parents are central, basically. And again, it's a case of like, well, that's why you're here today. Even though you chose those parents, that's why you're here today.
So it's an unconditional love for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Because once you get to that point of giving them a place, then you have that ability to love yourself more easily. Okay? So there's that unconditional love you have for yourself. Okay? In Ho'oponopono, where we say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Okay. So we are central in that point of view. But we can't be central without the parents.
I think you've made that very clear, and that's what brought, for example, peace for you in front of us.
Have you
that fulfillment, hey?
ever seen Long Lost Family?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever watched Long Lost Family?
No, I haven't.
You can pick it up on YouTube, but that is quite amazing, and you'll see different reactions within families where they've always wanted to connect with the birth parents, or they didn't want to connect until their adoptive parents had passed away. It's really, really interesting. Very emotional as well. But it's exactly what you're saying. Some of them don't seem to be affected, and they weren't going to connect, and okay, they do connect and everything's okay. And others just don't seem to be able to live with themselves until they find that birth connection.
When we look at the connection I'm talking about, basically, so what we're looking at over here is a physical connection. Okay?
Yeah.
So when we're talking about what I've been talking about, is actually using the morphogenic field. Okay? And being able to step into the morphogenic field and, for want of a better word, inviting those people that you need to connect with into that field.
Yeah.
So we go beyond the physical now. Okay?
Yeah.
Because family constellation is about soul language. And we've forgotten that.
But a lot of them don't know that, where they come from and what their connection is.
Well, here's the point as well. With any person in this world, basically, is that they have an instinct. They will never have that instinct. Okay? It's a case of like, if I'm a parent, my child is reaching this point, I put my hand on that area and it relieves the child. Where did that come from? That was instinctive. I didn't go to any medical books. Okay? I just went there and I just did that. That was instinct. Okay? So we all have this instinct. It's innate. It's in us, basically. We're so immersed in this reality that we've forgotten. It's missing. Okay. So it's a case of like, the big word over here is trust. Have faith in yourself. Okay? And it's not right or wrong. It's a case of like, in my heart I know.
I had a lovely example yesterday that happened to me. With that, I'd gone to this half run, my 5th one. And the previous Saturday, I joined this group of girls, but I couldn't find them anywhere. Anyway, I did my half run on my own. I went to the breakfast place, but I couldn't find anyone. So I said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know where you were. But anyway, so yesterday, I joined up with them. I said, we'll look out for you. This is a new group of people. I know 1 or 2 faces. But the one girl had just joined this group. And I was there, and an old school friend came up and said, oh, hello, and we were chatting. And then this other girl who had never met in my life came and said, hello. And she introduced me, but by another name, because I had another name at school. And then, I don't know why, she didn't introduce herself, her name. Because suddenly I think she was worried, and she said, I'm looking for everyone. I'm supposed to meet up with these girls. I said, is your name? And I gave the whole Brenda Goose, and she said, how do you know that? I said, I just had a feeling that you were looking for the same girls that I'm looking for. And that I said, I'm Heather. She said, but she's just called you Mackie. So I said, I'm the same. But it was so funny how I just knew that was in my heart that was her, that connection, that trust. It was just so, of all these hundreds and hundreds of people. So I just had to share that.
Well, the other point that's very important over here, Helen, is that going back to that center again, isn't it? Okay. So they always talk about 6 degrees of separation or 5 degrees of separation. In my opinion, there's no degrees of separation. Okay? In this life, we may be strangers, but we actually know each other. Okay? So it's a case of like, this circle that we're talking about encompasses everyone. Okay? It's that field of all knowledge. Right. It's a combination of all that wisdom that we have, okay, but we're not using it, and we're preventing ourselves from using it. Okay, that example that you've just given us now, it was that aha moment, that instinct that said, this is what's happening over here. All right, and it's a case of like, but it's happening all the time, but we're just not aware of it. Okay, so many people, when I do family constellation, for instance, they'll say to me, are you psychic? And I'm not psychic, but if we're coming from that field of all knowledge, it's a case of like we have shared wisdom, okay, and what you recognize as being psychic, it's a case of like, it's a link to what I've just said. All right, so immediately there's that 1 + 1 becomes 0. Bad arithmetic, I know.
I was trying to work out the 1 + 1 becomes 0.
Well, I was thinking 1 + 1. Trying to make that 0.
Yeah, you see that?
I saw the spokes of a wheel.
That's that intellectual mind, that says, no, logic doesn't work that way, Okay. Something wrong with your math over here. So it's a case of like, move away from that. Okay, leave it behind. Leave it at the door. All right. You've received all this knowledge, okay, and it's got you to this point, but it's a case of like you can respectfully say, okay, at this point in time, I'll call upon you when I need you, and at this point in time, I'll trust me.
Yes.
Okay. I'll fall back on that if I need that. All right, but at the same time, I respect you.
Yeah, so then, I mean, there's the acknowledgement of our parents, but our grandparents and the whole lineage. It's not just stopping at parents, okay? But then also, Phil, when we bring in, because we spoke last time about the I Ching and also the octagon and the points and everything, and we were talking about working on the various points of relationships and finance and money and environment and health and our vocations and all of that. So we did some work there,
Right.
but I'm sure you can enlighten us a little bit and just tie that into where we are now, because we must be then at the center of that. The I Ching.
Well, when we look at the I Ching, we are the I Ching. Okay, because it is everything. It encompasses everything.
Yeah.
So we've got to be the whole and not the part. Okay. At this point in time, we're just the part.
Yeah, but we striving now to evolve, and we're aware now we actually have this nice structure in front of us to operate from. We understand we are the core, and we understand very clearly today about our placement, giving ourselves a place, our parents a place in our fulfillment. Now we're saying, okay, now we're going to be using this structure to sort of make sure that we have evolved in all the little nodes, which are interlinked and interdependent and dissolve and appear invisible and invisible in any event. But is it a good idea to use that to further involvement?
So Janet, it's a massive topic over here, all right? Because we're looking at the elements, and if we're looking at the elements, we're trying to find out which is our major element over here. Because that's what it refers to, kindly, gently, consent, chin. Okay, those are all the elements. Okay, so it's a case of we've got to go to the Chinese horoscope over here to interlink with that.
All right.
Find out whether you're a water dragon or or a fire rat or whatever the case may be. Okay. Then to find out which might be the major organ. All right. Okay. And then interlink with that. And then which is the organ that I need to work on. Okay.
So that's part, sorry, just to interrupt, that's part of our evolution. There's certain organs that we have to work on.
That would be a little bit too general.
Okay.
But you would have a major organ.
A major organ.
That you need to work on. And in your case, I would say it's the lungs.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I'm not psychic.
No.
Okay.
Because that's part of the energetic fields, and my lungs are very bad.
Because the lungs, on an emotional level, is related to grief.
It's that?
It's related to grief. Okay. So if you link the experience of mom and yourself, because of that gap, that grief is still in the system. Okay. So from a cellular memory point of view, those are the cells that need to be activated to a healthy point, from a healthy point of view. Okay. So how would you do that?
How would I do that?
Yeah.
Now I've got to go to my body, tapping.
Right. Good. Excellent. So there are two methods that we use in Taoism. We use the healing sound. Okay. The healing sound for the lung is yes.
Like
Correct. So you can actually do this to the lung, whichever one you feel, probably your left lung. Okay, probably. Okay. So,
Maybe both.
yeah. So just do both hands and go. And so another method to use for the lungs is to smile at the lungs and to allow the lungs to smile back at you.
So I've got to smile at my lungs.
So close your eyes. Close your eyes for a minute.
Okay.
Can you see that? So see the lungs smiling back at you? Right? So you can actually use the sound at the same time and smile. Okay. I love you. Okay. And I always bring the gratitude into that. I always say, thank you. Thank you for giving me the breath of life.
This is interesting. My lungs played up in various parts of my life, but not hectically. You know, I didn't suffer from
I smell anything like that.
but only it was just after COVID, and we'd been away in the bush, and I got back, and I was exercising outside, and I was wheezing. I've never wheezed in my life like that. And I went to a pulmonologist, and she diagnosed me with asthma. But then she put me on this horrible drug, and I just can't. I just started bruising all over. And not just bruising, if I'd knocked myself, my skin just ripped. I mean, it was literally ripped. So I just stopped it. And now I'm in that, and I've got to come to you, I know that. And but I just knew, my body said, just give off that's poison, that's cortisone. I was actually feeling worse.
It's an inhibitor.
I was actually feeling worse.
Yeah.
And my skin, it's bruising. I mean, look at that. I've never bruised like this. I gave blood yesterday, I've got a big bruise there. And I mean, I've been off it now for a month. And it's still in my system.
So what is the exterior organ for the lungs?
The skin.
Can you see the link? Okay. And again, there's a message here for you. What is the message? And why has it come up at this point in my life?
Yeah. Now we're intellectualizing.
No, we're not.
No, but
No,
why?
we're not.
That's what I've been asking. Why suddenly at this time?
Okay, what is the which parent is connected?
My mother.
Okay. And have I given mom a place?
Has it got something to do with my relationship with my daughters?
It's possible because there might be a repetition over here. It's
Didn't
very,
you say
very
you were
possible.
with your daughters?
Hmm?
When you were away for COVID,
Yes.
you were with your daughters.
Yes.
And you got back, were you still with them?
Yeah, but the one is about to immigrate.
How does that?
So maybe that's another feeling of abandonment.
It's that coming up again, isn't it?
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm just
Working it out.
trying to work it out.
Well, in your mind, you probably say to yourself, "She's abandoning me," on your subconscious level.
Yeah, on some could be a very subconscious.
Yeah. Okay, I've been through this before. So the question I would ask you is that when have you felt like this before?
When I felt like
The fact that your daughter's leaving, and the fact is that the contact is only going to be, communication will be this way, but not that tactile communication. When have you felt like this before?
Well, when my mom died,
Mm.
there was no more.
So it's that repetition again.
Mm.
So it's your body reacting to it. Okay, so how can I look at this from a healthy point of view? I would suggest is that if I'm desperate
Mm.
and I need help over here, I would suggest that to say these words. What would mom say? So would you like to put yourself in that space? Close your eyes for a minute. My daughter is leaving and she's going overseas. What would mom say to you?
We'll always be connected, even if you're not here physically.
Okay, and what should you say to your daughter?
I love you.
I love you, and you have my blessings to have a full life.
Mm.
Hmm?
Mm. Thank you.
Hmm. All right.
And not how holds on a because it is.
Yeah.
You don't want. I mean, I don't want to hold it back. I've never said you can't go.
No.
But on a deeper level,
Yeah.
there is like, oh.
What happens? What happens if you do that? If you have this kind of thing in the
toxic on your
subconscious,
own.
there's a disconnect. Okay, and when you have this disconnect, there's no attachment because you're losing that attachment to her. All right, and because you're a wise person, you know you're not going to do that. But somehow deep down, there's going to be that emptiness. All right. Okay. So, in order to stay connected with her, remember what mom said. Okay, and also to remember to say to her, you have my blessings to have a full life.
Then they flourish, isn't it? Oh,
And they should flourish.
they should flourish.
Yeah, because it's a case of like, we grow up and we've been taught loyalty, all right? And that loyalty can do a lot of damage to us because loyalty is not the same for everyone. And if you get my drift over here. Okay.
That's
So,
what we've been taught.
Yeah, and you
yeah,
can't
so
hang
I
on
come,
to your children.
absolutely.
I've got 3: Sydney, London, Cape Town.
All right. So they basically everywhere. Right.
Yeah.
And,
They've done the same as I did.
okay. But do they have your blessings?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. And that's important because the connection is still there.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. Okay. We can't hold on to our children. We can't. But at the same time, we have to give them permission to go.
And,
And
you,
that-
even
that-
if it's, and I think what you just said really does resonate, even with the partners that they choose. It's their lives,
Yeah.
and you've got to give them full blessing.
And be loyal to yourself. Okay. Remember, life is not about being selfish. It's about being selfless. Okay. We all have our own path. And we have to respect that.
Yes, I think respect is the word.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for parents because you have to stand back, you know, and you think you know wise and all the rest of it. But again, that's what they brought on when you started in the beginning. They brought it on, so therefore let it happen.
Well, let it percolate.
Yeah, so that they can then dispense with it.
And this is why I say the loyalty may not be the same as you experiencing. Okay. Everyone experiences a different form of loyalty. You know, I find that the biggest hurdle that we have to come to cross is the cultural loyalty. Okay? You can't do this because the culture doesn't allow you to do that. And it's a case of like, you know, but that's not my identity. when I'm at 0, I don't have an identity.
I like that, going back to 0. It's a nice
metaphor.
yes.
Yeah. If the thing is, if you love your children, you want them to be happy. You don't want to control them, or you shouldn't want to control them.
Because we do. Hey.
Yeah. So
How do we know?
you
Let's see
know,
if there's any questions.
I mean, I came to South Africa, so you know, I'm supposedly only for
Any
2
questions,
years,
guys?
and my parents, especially my dad, was devastated. You know, even before he died, he actually mentioned it when I was visiting. So, who am I to try and control and bring onto my children? It's just.
And respectfully, isn't that Dad's business? You know? It's a case of like, you had your fate to live, and that's part of
Candace,
maybe
anything you
someone
want
may
to
say it's a
share?
sacrifice, but it's not.
Yeah.
We have to follow
You can
that
always
path.
press the hand and then you can speak.
You know? It's very, very important.
Well, as I always say to Phil, you know, you've got to have mastered what you're doing to put it across simply.
Yeah.
Which I think, you know, Phil's testimony to that.
Well, I can be very thankful for my life, you know, because I've been presented with incredible experiences, and yeah, for me, I've lived a full life, very, very full life. And
it's important to realise that a lesson is a lesson, and you've got to go for it. What is the lesson?
I just
doesn't
remember
matter.
No, but if you know what the lesson is, you can aim for
Well, I think, you know,
achieving.
again, it's case of intellectualizing again, the what and the why,
Yeah.
and the wherefore.
Oh, there's
So
some
what,
water.
you know, it's there, you know, and when that water flows, it's a case of like the water doesn't ask which direction I should go.
But if people keep asking, why does this always happen to me? Is it because they don't know what the lesson is?
It's because, again, I'm going back to that simple point, is that what you resist will persist, because that lesson will repeat itself continuously, and you're the only person that can answer.
Yeah.
Nobody else can. All right, and if you can't trust your instinct, then you're not going to get the answer.
They have to be aware, though.
The awareness is the key.
No, it's not important, you know, it's not our business anyway.
No, I mean, within yourself, if you're not aware that you keep repeating the pattern and that you've got to look within.
Well, as soon as you say, I need to be aware, then I think you put up the barrier. Okay? In other words, you need to trust yourself to go into the situation and just be. Whatever needs to happen, needs to happen. Okay? You need to trust that whatever needs to happen is going to happen.
You can't stop it.
You can't stop it.
How
Okay?
you react.
Well, that's where you take the big breath. And you say to yourself, you step back and you say, is this appropriate? Okay, if I feel it's appropriate, then I move forward. If I don't think it's appropriate, I'll take another breath. If I need 10 more, then I'll take 10 more breaths. We're very impatient people. Okay, and we've got to nurture patience as well. Okay, like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. All right.
Yeah.
So we've got, when we talk about our lifetime, and let's just say we've got 70 years in this lifetime, isn't it? It's that much. Okay, so what can I achieve in that much? It's up to me. Okay, I can decide. All right, but I've always found out, for me, the faster I go, the more mistakes I make. Okay,
Less is more.
less is more. Yeah, always. Are we good, Jen? All right. If there's any other questions?
Yeah, so, you know what? It's so insightful.
It just makes sense and feels right. And just want to thank you so much for your time and sharing, Bill.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. The wisdom is wonderful.
I've done
Thank you.
so much of this before, but you know, with life going on, you tend to forget or you slip off the rails. So it's lovely, you know, to remind yourself of these things and the fact, hopefully it's on YouTube, that we can look into it again and watch
Yeah, because
and
a
keep
lot-
reminding ourselves, and maybe, you know, tomorrow we pick something else out of this conversation, aha moment. And it's been wonderful today.
Oh,
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, really, and an honor. Yeah.
And also thank people for coming in too. It's been great having you with us too. If you want to say anything, then just put your hand up and I'll open up or type in the chat. I hope you benefited too, and it's felt like you're sitting in the living room with us, the family, because the family and the home. And let's take these calls of wisdom and expand. And I think that really would make your heart very happy too, to take your wisdom. And thank you so much, Phil.
yes,
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Nice to put in perspective.
Wow.
Okay. So, yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
You're all on 0 point, eh? Just remember that.
0. I'm
You're all
at
on
0.
Real 0 point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Float on E. That's my little joke, you know. It's a case of like, when I start walking on water, then I know I've got that.
You know you've got there. I always say that to people. When they're asking Siskio, it says, have you got any unresolved emotions and everything? They say no. I say, okay, fine. Well, I'm just going to put one, because until we all can walk on water, there's normally something there. But it's about true that, eh?
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's good to bring the humor in as well.
life is, well, it's about fun, isn't it?
It is. If you can't laugh,
You have to.
I mean, there's no point.
I think you'd probably be miserable. Very, very miserable.
Oh, the laughter is good for the soul.
Very.
Absolutely. It's good medicine.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
What I was going to share a little bit earlier, and then I forgot as well, is we're in the quantum space, so we know a little bit about all of this, and we know about the repatterning that happens in chaos. Right? And I remember one of the first times I met Phil, he was just saying, I just bring the chaos on. I'm happy with it. Bring it on, Jane. I just bring it on. I need to experience what I need to experience. And thinking like, whoa, not too much chaos for me, thanks. But then I understood what he was saying, so that he could repattern as much as possible in this little space that he's been given now. He wants to live in a place where where there is chaos, where he can shift.
So our country at the moment,
Perfect.
it's teaching us all our own little lessons in one way or another. I mean, the electricity, the violence, the
Shortages.
The floods.
Well, yes, and look, the thing is, the world's joined us now, so it's not only isolated countries.
This last
the world
10
is
days
full.
has been horrific.
Has it been horrific? I don't know. It's been
I think so.
creating.
I mean, I'm an empath, so I feel these things, and I don't know what's going on, and then all of a sudden, past president or minister, whatever, in Japan, he is murdered, and then what's going on politically in the UK, and then what's going on in Sri Lanka, and just all sorts of things are happening around
But
the world.
this is the opportunity to repattern what we
Yeah.
look for. So it's quite interesting, you know.
Going back
We're
to
more
zero.
collectively
I love
repatterning
it.
more.
I have
Yeah.
a question as an empath. How would you get back to zero?
Well, for me, I normally think, oh, this is why I've been feeling emotional,
Okay.
and let go of it,
Right. Okay.
and then move on.
All right. And so, the why and the what? Does that come in?
I don't really think about that. I mean, you know, when I'm feeling very emotional and I think, why am I feeling like this? There's no reason why I should feel like this,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
you blinked.
And then all of a sudden things start happening, you know, after I start feeling emotional, but still feeling emotional. And I just think, oh, this is what's going on in the world. It's not just one thing, it's normally lots of things happening. And then as soon as I'm aware of it, then it's like I release and let go and just sort of shrug my shoulders and think, oh, well, that's the reason why I was feeling like that. But leave go of it.
So, the question I would ask over here is that when these feelings occur, how do I move to the next level of consciousness?
Yeah, I don't really know the answer to that. I just know that, you know, I do get these feelings of emotion or feel very emotional.
So,
And you know, it's only when I know what's happening can I think, well, you know, obviously that was the reason why I was feeling emotional, but you know, leave go of them. I can't hold on to them. So for me, it's just thinking, oh, okay, that was the reason why, and accept that that was the reason why, and let it go.
so I would say that you've intellectualized. All right. So James talking about the chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think you're incredibly blessed. Okay. So if that feeling comes to you, shouldn't you be in the moment, in the present?
I think at the time when it first starts, because I don't know, you know, what's going on in the world.
Which doesn't matter.
So
Because your body's giving you the message first,
yes, yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
All right. So if this is in my body, why am I integrating it instead of looking for an answer outside of my body?
I'm not looking for the answer. It's just.
But you are.
After.
You just said just now
Oh,
that now I realize why it happened.
yeah, but I'm not. When I'm feeling like that, I'm not thinking what's going on in the world that to affect me like this.
Okay, what are you doing?
Just thinking, I'm really feeling emotional. I don't know what.
But you're not thinking.
And just feeling emotional.
Correct. Okay, because when you're thinking, you intellectualize.
Yeah, I'm just feeling emotional.
All right. So when you're feeling it, it's a case of like that's when you integrate it. That's when you're in the present. And if there's a reason for it afterwards, who cares? Okay, that you know that saying about
because that's after the fact anyway.
Well, the past is the past. You can't bring that back again.
Yeah.
The future hasn't happened yet. The present is called the present because it's a gift. Okay? So if I've been given that gift, then I must be present. And I must embrace this feeling that I have at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we've been given these emotions for a reason. then we must embrace these emotions.
Yeah.
Okay, we must learn not to be reactive to the emotion. We have to feel the emotions because those feelings will take us to that zero.
I have a book called The Precious Present. It's about this book, this size, and it's beautiful. It, you know, when I do read it, when every blue moon I pick it up and read it, I'm always, gosh, I forgot how wonderful this is. And it's, I think it's about a child who's looking for the present, but the child's thinking that this is the present, and it isn't. This is the present. And it's, oh, it's such a beautiful book.
Yeah. So again, you know, when you're talking about being present, you're actually being present with the inner child, aren't you?
Yeah, that's what the book is all about.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So you have to, when you have these emotions, it's a case of like your inner child is actually crying out to you and saying to you, I need to feel that, because those are memories. Okay? I need you to process those memories. There's no why or wherefore over here.
Yeah.
My body needs to process those memories so that child can be released from those emotions. Be childlike. Okay. So if these things come up, don't be the adult.
Yeah.
Be the child. Embrace it.
Talk to your inner child.
Absolutely, all the time. You know, because if you think about it, if anyone goes through a lot of misery, it's that little child. Okay, and it had to deal with it in a huge, huge way. And what did it do? It released the emotion continuously until such time that it was just the emotion that took over. And that's why we reacted, because the emotion is so big now that that is the norm to us. The reaction is the norm, but the reaction is the most abnormal thing that we do. Okay, but it's part of us now, so we have to embrace that and go to the inner core of that.
And unfortunately, the reaction is often addiction, hey, on all sorts of levels.
Yeah.
Another day, but it's an inner child, young child.
But it's also in many ways of the acting.
Well,
No, we don't want
you know, as a good example would be, let's take your situation, for instance, okay, the loss of mom is that internal cry, and it's always like, and what happens over there? There's that shortage of breath, because now I don't know how to breathe down here any longer. Okay, so I have half a life now. It's not a full life any longer, because there's no one there to share it with me any longer. So I'm reactive now, because it's taken over. Okay, and I shackle myself to that reaction. Okay, because it becomes the norm now, and we've got to go back to that. That being that anchor. You know, go back to it and find out what the primal feeling is. You've been given that opportunity to grab that opportunity. It's important. You know, I think there's too much suffering in the world. There's far too much suffering.
Yeah.
You know? And if we're able to reflect our happiness and joy, then we can bring it to other people.
Yeah, it's part of mass consciousness. If that, if you can achieve that.
Yeah. Our collective consciousness at the moment is not
good.
Not happiness and joy and love.
But it's got to start with us.
It's got to start with zero.
Zero, yeah.
Got to start with.
Zero base. Absolutely.
I can't believe what's going on at the moment. All this fake news, and you know,
day dot, not from existence, but from the times that South Africa was created, in what has transposed into the form it is today. It's been incredibly tragic. Let's bring the beauty into this. Okay, I'm very proud to be South African. Okay, and it's not from a nationalistic point of view. It's because this country is giving me all these gifts
to learn.
Absolutely. And where else, anywhere in the world, would I have experienced what I've experienced in this country? I probably wouldn't have. Okay. So, what am I going to do with all these things? Well, that's for me to answer. Okay. And I'm evolving. All right. For my sake. Okay. I don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
You know, it's my business anyway. As long as I'm not harming anybody.
I agree. Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
Why? Well, I went, maybe 30 years ago. I was listening to I always forget the word when I come to talk about it. Somebody was taking on spirit, and that was the point. Exactly what you've, just said, and that was voiced. I've got it somewhere on an old tape, because it was recorded, and it's exactly what you said about, you are responsible, and as long as you are not hurting somebody else, that's what I was going to say. So what was said was, we on the other side of the veil, it's very funny what humankind feel or thinks. And a sin, as we see it, is only when you do something intentional against another person, in thought, word, or deed, as to hurt that person. It could be mentally hurt or physically hurt or whatever. And I thought that very interesting. And that one comment has actually stayed with me for the last 30 something years, as long you should be responsible for you.
Yeah.
And as long as you are not hurting anybody else, you are being, I feel, more authentic, which is what we were talking about the last time, being authentic and one with yourself. So, yeah.
What do you think, Helen?
I just think, I'm really coming back to the zero.
Right.
That really resonates with me. It feels very healing to be able to just go back and thank. That's why I'm here. I'm alive. Here in Springy again. We were whole to begin with, as you say. No matter what deformities you came into the world with, I asked for this life. I'm here to learn from it. And I think that the focus is on I, not pointing fingers. And the fact that I've had children, that's their life. Mm-hmm.
And to be responsible for yourself.
Yes.
As well, not blame other people.
Very important.
For what's
so
happened.
I'm responsible for myself. Given my children whatever I've been able to, but they are adults now. They are now in charge of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're raising children, you have to feed them,
nourish
change the nappies, nourish. But as they get older, you widen the gap.
Yeah.
You give them that independence. And right now, yes, I'm responsible for everything that happened in my life. It's
Yes.
my health. And because I've been asking why.
It's a big step.
Why is this happening? But now it's all sort of
Falling into place.
Right. I can see the picture.
Mm.
And it's quite interesting because I really do believe, that my whole work, I work with the body.
No,
But-
work with the mind.
But,
Which one are you working
but
with?
I am with the mind, but I believe
I don't
don't just work with mind, I work with the whole body.
You do.
You
do.
When I'm doing my therapies, it's not just the mind. I'm using all the body.
And the spirit.
Because the brain connects to the body. It's all together.
Mm.
And the spirit, yes.
And emotions, neurological side, the whole.
But it's interesting that
and
I
you're
have
dealing
this blind
with-
spot also to myself with the lungs. I have thought about it though. But it hasn't.
Connected again.
But now it's connected.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really,
And you'll never forget that.
it's
No.
really, really connected with me today.
Mm.
On a very big level. So thank you.
Mm.
It's been profound. I feel very enlightened.
It's strange you say about your lungs. I was born with an underdeveloped left kidney, which I only found out about, I think, when I was having my second child. And kidneys are connected to bladder, and it's water, and water is emotion. And I am a very emotional person.
And fear, hey?
Mm,
Yeah, kidneys fear.
mm.
Okay.
It was for a reason. Now you can absolutely, it's not a why anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, so this is, I think.
So as an empath, you've got to say what is the emotion that's coming up over here?
Yeah.
That's the question that's very, very vital.
And I don't know about you, but I get very emotional for things that have happened to other people.
Yeah, and what could it be? Could it be that you're fearful of what will happen afterwards as well? Not to yourself, to those other people.
I don't feel that. I just feel so hostile for their pain.
All right. So again, if you're going to the heart, okay, is that, but the question you need to ask yourself is a case of like, I feel for them is because I have compassion for them.
Yeah.
But do I have compassion for myself?
That's something
That's quite interesting because it's like a mirror image.
Self-love.
Right, because most of the time we're projecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We can. As a matter of fact, all the time. Not most of the
That's
time.
so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
When parents come to me and they say their child's behaving like this, I say to them, can I be
Back to
rude?
you.
And when you lose the plot, do you also go, like your child's in form? Yes. That's why.
Smile and all.
And it's so true. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
no.
so again, it's saying that they're doing this for me.
Oh.
Okay. Every time, basically,
To get it
what I'm feeling there is their gift to me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the connection. All right. Because even though I feel this, it's actually not for them, it's for me.
Yeah.
It's mine. It's not theirs, it's mine.
That's why I asked earlier on about past life. I can recall always saying, when you hear about a person losing a child, and I think, oh, thank goodness, at least they got another or two other or three other children, whatever. And it came up one time, I don't know if it was sort of a meditation or not a consolation, but something or other. And I had lost my only child. And I thought, that's where that always comes up in my mind. Oh, thank goodness they've got, one or more children.
So, as a parent today, and going back on the ancestral line and not just past life, how many mothers do you think didn't have children because they died? Or they, or the mother may have died. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you go back 100 years. Okay.
Gosh, with 2 world wars and around the world. I mean, I've just read a novel where somebody goes from New Zealand to London, and 6 months later the Second World War, and it goes into great depth about the London Blitz.
Right.
And I mean, when I grew up, I was walking over bomb sites but didn't realise that they were sites. To me it was just like a load of debris, and you were walking over not thinking, that it was where a bomb. I mean, the playground opposite was like a concrete block, and I knew that was a bomb site. But other things, I just didn't realise it, So I connected with this book in terms of sort of realising how bad and how people suffered and that sort of thing. I mean, both my parents were part of that.
All by design, hey?
So it's quite strange that this novel recently
came into space again. Yeah, those are the cycles, And also we can do this work with what you're speaking about and Helen and her people, and then suddenly, something comes at you from out of the blue, and that's that last little another residual bit this line is fine, so then we can deal with it again.
I always feel that these things are presented to you just at the right time.
I think what you were saying about those gaps, that worries me. The gaps, because we've been living too fast to go get back to close all those gaps, because that's what I think, that remembering what I've just said right now, but there's still a bit of a gap there, there's a bit of a gap there. So I think that's quite nice, working also to, I don't know how you
Connect
do it.
again.
I don't know how you do it physically, but just wait for it to happen.
Yeah, your body will tell you when it's done, And again, going back to the thought about cutting the cords. You never cut the cords. Never. Because if you cut the cords, how can you reconnect again?
Good point.
Okay? Because
today. You know what he's referring to? When you go and see people and say, go cut the cords with them, and you know that cutting the cord thing.
I know.
You know of it.
I've tried it myself from different aspects with your dragon, with Archangel Michael, all of these sorts of things. And
that is there to teach you something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you're cutting off that cord, and actually, that's not helpful.
Well, yeah.
Because it's unresolved stuff.
That's a release.
And there may be more unresolved stuff.
It's a disconnect, and we just talked about.
If I'm going to cut it, I'm not going to have the experience of what else needs.
Thank you, Jane.
Okay, plenty of thought.
Thank you. What else needs to be resolved? What else needs to be worked on? There may be a billion things that we have to work on.
But how do you know somebody else isn't going to
know
work
what's
in?
happening right now to work on?
Yeah. The thing is that trust comes back into it again. And that feeling, and to know that it's okay to do this right now.
So whatever happens right in this moment, it's so profound.
It is.
No matter how small or how big, whether it's in my home or if it's out there.
Right.
Whatever comes across my path, it's what is it bringing up for me right now.
Yeah.
From a 0 point base,
one thing might, let's say the same thing is happening in our country with ISCOM, for example. You might react different, have different feelings.
Twins would react differently.
We could all have different, but it's
Absolutely.
what it brings up for me. That's
If
important
it even
for me.
brings anything up for you.
It might not bring anything up.
If it brings joy, because there's black and it's quiet and you
And
can,
it's nice candle at
and-
dinner.
you know, so it's just all how, it's your, and you can fix it too, is what I think you were saying to Sharon, you can fix it.
Yeah.
Fix, you know,
think-
the emotional space.
Yeah, I think be part of it. Be part of it because you're part of the zero.
Phil, can I just ask you, you were talking about not cutting the cords because there may be something else. But couldn't you cut a cord leaving space for somebody else to bring something?
Your fate is
In-
your own. We did it just now. Remember? We'll say to us.
Well, it's not your business. It's not your business.
What? To cut the cord?
No, to leave space for someone else.
Yeah, but
I mean-
I
I
didn't
mean-
mean that you were doing it consciously, but to release yourself
This is lovely.
from that other person.
If it's in your space, why do you want to release yourself from it?
Lovely. Thank you.
I mean, if you go into a past life and someone put a sword through you, are you going to cut the cord to that particular past life? Or are you going to
That's
say,
in the past.
that's very simple to say, but it's not. It's
Yeah,
part of your
because it
DNA.
can still come
It's part of your DNA.
into this. Yeah.
It's a case of, there's a bigger picture over here. That sword through my heart might be symbolic of something else.
Mm.
The sword might be symbolic. A heart may be symbolic.
Mm.
But there may be a story in each one of those things.
Yeah.
So if I cut the cord over here and I've resolved the heart issue, what do I do with the sword issue?
When you're cutting the cord, do you consider those things?
We'll say
I don't consider anything. I just do. Okay? I just do and I just be.
Mm.
Okay? Can I be very frank?
Mm.
You tend to intellectualize everything.
I know that's how I think it's because of not my skier or Reiki or angel healing or anything at all like that, but how I've worked in commerce for so long.
I think
That everything's been intellectual and
no, because there's a structure over here.
Stop, keep pouring in.
Okay?
Can I pour you some
It's
more?
a case of like, when am I going to let the structure go? Because it doesn't serve me any longer. Okay? So the structure in commerce served me when I was in commerce.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve me now.
No.
Because I'm not in control anyway.
Mm.
If I had that structure, I was in control.
We just 20 people.
Don't have any control in life. It is what it is.
Registered.
We're going back to the water again.
Come in.
The only way water is controlled is when you build a dam.
To get them claim.
Okay? But even then, you
And
still
that's
have to
going to be
release it.
harmful.
And then
Pardon?
Wouldn't that be harmful?
Now, I think at this point in time, as far as that is concerned, it's part of the
It's
progress.
very nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Why? If we didn't have the dams, we wouldn't have electricity. For instance. It's part of that evolution that we're going through at the moment. These things have to happen. Okay. So it's a case of like, if I'm that water, and if I want it to flow, then I must just let it be. You just let it happen. Okay. I think when we're in control, there's a fear factor involved. It's a case of like, if I'm in control, then I can control what's going to happen in the future, or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't work that way, does it?
No.
If I let go, then I'm opening the doors to abundance. Because I'm saying whatever comes in, whether it's the chaos, but it's also going to be with the chaos, the balance will be there as well.
You just give me a new word for letting go.
Which is?
Because I've always battled, sorry, I had to just say something. It's letting go. What is letting go? But suddenly, the penny drops.
Mm-hmm.
Just being here right now and letting the chaos come.
Yeah.
And being with it.
Letting
And not resisting
letting
it.
it be.
No, and looking at South Africa from that point of view of, yes, we can be critical about what's going on at the moment, but we need to embrace what's going on at the same time. Okay, because this is part of our evolution as well.
And that's what's letting go. That's suddenly just that penny drops. It's
so peaceful when you can get that contact. There's no peace.
It is.
Yeah.
Because
The whole cells and everything just say, oh, thank goodness.
literally your body lets go when you think it really happens to me now. When you were saying those words, I had to interrupt.
No,
It was
perfect.
amazing.
Perfect. I mean, I think control is part of that intellect. A big, big part. Because when you're working in the environment you're talking about, it's always going to be the why, wherefore, okay? There's got to be a reason, because there's a formula over here.
Yeah.
It's got to fit in with the formula.
There was a lot of investigation into my work as
Not
well.
anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore, because if we leave ourselves open, there are myriads of possibilities. Okay? It's the same with me. When I work on shiatsu, I can follow the pattern and say, this is the formula, but I'm doing myself a disservice. And I'm also doing my clients a disservice, because we're all different.
Mm.
Okay?
Because you've got a sense.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, but Sharon knows that from the quantum sphere too.
Yeah.
Because it lets it guide you.
But you know what? Marika and I, a number of years ago, went to see Diana Cooper when she was here. And the one thing is she wanted us to work on the aura. And that's all we were supposed to do. But all of a sudden I thought, gosh, Marika needs psychic surgery. I just did it automatically, not following
That's what
it was. I tell you what, the tears were rolling down her face, and she said the pain was horrific. It was all around the solar plex area, and to me, that is what is your intuition, just going with it and feeling, and then, you know.
So to add on what you're saying, we can never be in control. We try so hard always, especially when you've got children and you try.
You see, that's
but
why
we must give that up.
that's why I did not hang on to my children. That
just
I
taking
was
it as an
happy
example.
for them, but consciously thinking, I do not want to control my children. It was a conscious effort. My mother was a bit controlling, and when she passed away, my sister absolutely slated her afterwards for being so controlling, and yet she's more controlling than my mother ever was.
You know, getting back to what you were saying about the sword and who did it and who didn't do it. The easiest thing on earth is to say, well, what is my gift out of this? What was I supposed to learn? And then you don't need what you said in the beginning. You don't have to forgive anybody. You don't have to cut anybody's cord, because it's gone. Once you've learned the lesson, you can then go to the next.
You let it go.
Yeah, you can go from the trials to the tribulations so easily because you got the gift, the golden gift. What was it? You know, always look for the flowers. Where's the bouquet of flowers supposed to come out? And then the whole thing dissolves. Dissolves into nothingness.
Yeah, the chaos is part of the whole.
It's how long you want to spend in the trial. No, I don't like to spend long time in the trials because it becomes a thinking game. You know, I don't
sometimes
think
it's just
that's right.
so
Doesn't serve
easy,
you.
and other times you
Depends.
sort of get stuck in the mire,
Well-
you know. Again, you fall off the railing, you've got to be reminded. I
Thank you very
mean,
much.
my second son
I'm good.
almost drowned
Thank you.
when he was just before he was 3 years old, and he was in ICU, and they put them under, what did they do? You know,
Respirator.
no, they mentally,
They're suspending
yes, yeah.
animation kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like being unconscious, but you know, that's what they work on, and mentally. So, you know, well, he was a child, he wasn't yet 3, but even an adult, they would do it so they wouldn't fear of what's going on, you know, in the body while they were draining the lungs and that sort of thing. I didn't have any fear whatsoever. I just knew 100% that he was going to be fine. And they couldn't believe it. They said they usually from ICU send them to a general ward, and he was let out of ICU just to go home. And that was on one occasion where I didn't even think or consider or worry that he was not going to come out of this. I just knew it.
You didn't try and control it. You surrendered it to me.
Yeah.
And look how beautiful.
It also tells me that you trusted.
Yes. Yeah. But what I'm saying as a human, I can trust sometimes and other times.
It's okay, though,
You
because
know,
that's how we
I'm
learn.
not in there, you know.
Well, that's why I say, you know, as an empath,
Yeah.
those feelings come to you constantly.
Mm.
You need to trust it,
Yeah.
okay?
Mm.
And you need to remember, how did you feel when your son was hospitalized?
Mm.
Because it's the same situation again.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, okay? Just trust.
Mm.
Trust in yourself, have faith in yourself.
Yeah.
You know? Like the Afrikaners say, alles sal reg kom. Everything will come right.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because it has, hasn't it?
Well, he's just incredible.
But for you, for
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you know, that's part of the faith. You know?
Mm.
That's part of the trust.
Yeah.
Let go.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, like they say, let go and let God.
You know, but how it seems strange that at a point where most people would actually fall apart, that was the time that I was stronger and trusting and accepting and knowing.
Yeah.
It was a 0 point example for you.
Yeah.
A 0 point experience,
Mm.
which you've got a gift in.
Yeah.
No.
But what would culture recommend of you? What would culture recommend?
What would be the norm for a person
Yeah.
who would experience that?
What would culture be the norm?
I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying.
This mother is so unfeeling that she doesn't even consider the fact that she should be worried whether her child survives or not.
Oh, yeah, I suppose so. Look, he wasn't 3 yet, and I had a baby of 4 months old, so I had to consider the baby, and I was grateful for that.
Now, I want you to go back to 0 over here,
Yeah,
because when you bring the baby into this, you intellectualize it.
yeah, okay. I can recall at the time that I was grateful for that.
No, but for you,
I suppose, yeah. Look, I was there all the time, but
there's no buts over here.
yeah, I know.
Don't intellectualize.
Yeah,
Don't intellectualize. Just go there. Remember what James said, you were at 0.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay? You weren't in control.
Mm,
Okay? And that brings the peace.
mm,
Okay, what must be, must be. Whatever happens, there became. All right? But my soul is with this child.
Yeah.
And my soul says, love.
Yes.
Love conquers all.
But my soul also says.
No buts.
Yeah.
No buts.
Yeah.
The soul doesn't say but. You
Well,
know, exactly
my
what
soul said to me, he's going to be fine. He will, you know.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Whether you passed on, he would have still been fine.
Yes.
Okay.
He would be fine, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Because we're going to go back to Jane's example with mom. There's no buts with mom, where she is right now. Okay? She's not intellectualizing. She's coming from here. That's all there is. That's all there needs to be. Okay? And that's where we should be.
Yeah.
But this is zero. Okay? So every experience we have, this is where we come from. We have to go back to that. That's the origin. That's the 0 point. So we have to go back to that.
Yes. Yeah.
So, my opinion, okay, for what it's worth, is that when you got with your son, and the feeling that you had when you let go, it was total unconditional love.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the recognition is that that's who I am. Total unconditional love. And thank you to my son for bringing that message to me. Okay. So as an empath, it's a case of like, I can feel this over here, but there's total unconditional love. It is what it is, it has to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think we want us to be very careful. You know, there's something called mental hygiene. And I think we can suffer so much. And eventually it's going to wear us out.
Yeah.
And we've got to be careful that we don't get to that point. Because it can be exhausting. Okay. So try to avoid buts and whys.
What is it trying to avoid?
Buts
Oh,
and
buts.
why.
Yeah, because I know when I write, I always say however instead of but.
Which is the same thing, isn't it?
I suppose so.
Oh, language. It's amazing how language.
So I've had a wonderful time.
Yes, it's been amazing today.
Thank you for your time. You did tell me you were eating earlier.
I did. I had lunch earlier.
You did. So
Yeah.
you're not hungry. You weren't waiting for food.
No, not
I've got a
at all.
lovely. I bought because I was going to get
Yes,
something different,
yes.
but they didn't have aubergines yesterday, so I made the similar, exactly what I did last week. The last month, should I say?
Yeah, last month, I know.
It doesn't seem that long ago.
I know. But it's kale and spinach and pumpkin
You want a quick
seeds.
No.
plateful?
I'm good.
You good?
Thank you very much because, you know, I had quite a big lunch before I came. I had lunch pretty early. Okay. And,
What time do you have lunch?
Yeah,
11
no food.
o'clock.
I cooked it in here today. So I'm going to go and jazz it up. Rice and lentils. Wow. Are you amazed?
I am. Is that called a hot pot? Or
I don't know what you call this. I can't remember the name.
and it cooks it in the bag.
You get it to boiling point, and then you shove the whole thing in there, and it's for you. You just get it to boiling point, which is not even 5 minutes, and then it's in.
Unbelievable.
Fuel saver. It also cooks on its own without. So we'll
Yeah, look, I'm going to excuse myself.
You're gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Okay.
your enormous
Phil,
fountain of
it's been-
No, it's been a pleasure.
It's
Really.
been
Thank you so
amazing.
much.
Been a pleasure.
That was really, really amazing.
It was.
On many, many levels.
I
Sometimes,
enjoyed it.
as you say, Sharon, sometimes you've got to hear it again and again because you hear the different levels as well. So we do have it.
I've got to, you know, there's certain things that I love to keep going back to and, you know, using as a reference, and still gives you that aha moment
Yeah.
for something you need at that particular time.
Always.
Mm.
I mean, you didn't know what you were walking into.
No.
You thought you were coming out with your salad.
But I knew from the word go that I
You're going to be here today.
absolutely,
I also knew, yeah.
without a doubt, and I was so excited. I couldn't wait.
You said that, you wrote that.
I couldn't wait. I thought,
This little girl couldn't wait. Eh?
this is the
She knew.
Lot of gifts today.
Definitely, and lots to share, hey, with our clients and things.
lot.
Sharon?
Oh, it's a revelation.
Yeah, and also I hope that it can help, you know, with the little bit of shiatsu that we did,
Yes.
because it's a case of like once you start working on someone, you can do that with a skier as well.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, get that feeling of okay, which side are they veering on, mom or dad? Okay, because that will give you a good idea and good pattern of where the residual energy is.
Because it is interesting that I do my body work. I work with the body. And I I haven't done shiatsu. But I use a soma, and it's just very light touch.
Okay,
And I'm getting them to go into their body because I want them to get out of their mind and follow what's happening. When I bring this thing up, what's happening in the body, not focusing on why or what or how.
just be
And it is interesting how some side of the body is more reactive
right.
than the other side. So
Yeah.
that's going to be very,
Good.
and it is often, the one side is more reactive. The stuff's happening on.
So they can also start seeing the pattern and start working on it as well.
I wouldn't mind learning a bit of shiatsu though, because
Yeah.
So, can I ask you, when you do the constellation,
Yeah.
do you do it with an individual person, or do
I do
you
it-
have to do it in a family group?
No, I do it one-on-one now because I've stopped doing workshops. You know?
do you stop teaching?
Yeah, I've stopped basically.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
Sharon, you want to go do it on your own. You want to
So-
go get your own stuff done.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you want one-on-one.
Thank you,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because I do remember years and years ago somebody that did constellation in a group, and you know, if your family's all over the world and it's only you,
Which doesn't matter as a matter of fact.
yeah.
You know?
Well, it's a bit like skier and subspace.
It is.
Yeah.
You know,
It's quantum. It's quantum. That's the morphogenic field.
It's in the
And that's what
morphogenic field.
we've got to tap into, whether we've got a skill in front of us or not.
yes,
We've got to tap into the morphology because that's where the wisdom is. It's where
Yeah.
there's our 0 point
You know, the
knowledge
steer
is.
is just a mechanism.
yeah.
You know?
It's so funny. I just wanted to mention this. When you said a mother, what does she do? She touches, you know, the child.
Yeah.
When my children were small, they used to come to me and say, "Mum, will you do Reiki on me?" And it just reminded me of that happy memory.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's that contact again.
Mm.
You know, we're connected to our children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So, how if we want to do, or when we want to do constellation,
Yeah.
how do we contact you?
I'll give you my number. It's 082
Yeah.
401 2796.
Can you say this again? Sorry.
6.
082 401 2796. James got my details.
And I know you're in a hurry to leave, but just to understand, so what you do, 1 hour sessions?
Normally 1 hour.
1
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It should take about an hour.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I'll go over that time.
Yeah.
You know, depends on what the situation is. But
And-
generally it would take an hour.
And does a person normally need more than one session, or
And again, you know, my
depending on the
advice
person?
to the client is that, you know, I normally do the first one, and then afterwards I say, if you need to see me again, give me a call.
Okay.
All right? Because we can go on endlessly with family constellation,
Mm.
because there might be multitudes of patterns that one has to work on.
I can remember years ago, I won a body talk session, and what she picked up was on my mother's side, but on her parental side, going back 5 generations or something, I have taken on that, where you would sort of protect your ancestry or something like that. And I was told that I could either, you know, be say into drugs or just medical drugs, painkillers and all that sort of thing, or drink or whatever.
Addictions.
Yeah, and this, or I could go the opposite way, and I've gone the opposite way because I hate taking medical, anything chemical medicine. I don't react well at all to it, and I seldom drink. You know, if I had a glass of wine now, I'd have to sit here and think, gosh, I know I haven't had a glass of wine this year. Did I have any last year? You know, sometimes I used to wake up and think, my goodness, you know, I feel like I was drinking last night. I feel awful. And it was the 4th of July, and we went to the Rattlesnake Diner in Ravonia, and friends came up from Cape Town. And it was a bit worrying for me because everybody was smoking. You know, it was a while back. Everybody was smoking at the time. And I thought, gosh, if there was a fire in here, you know, you can't even see the exit, the air is blue. Sunday morning, I wake up, I thought I was going to die. And the first day I started feeling a bit better was the Wednesday. And it was then I realised, well, I wasn't drinking, it was the smoke. You know, the secondhand smoke from everybody else in that, I don't know what it was, whether it wasn't really a club, it was where they eat and had music and that type of thing. So I obviously went the opposite way, and this is what she told me in body talk, and you know, that sort of I could resonate, you know, with that fact. I mean, when I was 5 or 6, and obviously in the UK there was television, and I watched something where, you know, that Star Wars type of program, and the person was having their body scanned, and I thought, I would love that. At that age, I just thought, that would be lovely that you don't have to go to an ordinary doctor, you know, to do with chemical medicines and that type of thing, which is what skio is. And in a way, you know, Reiki and those other things are exactly the same sort of thing that I saw at such a young age.
My advice in doing a family constellation is to, first of all, say that no expectations, and secondly, whatever, and I'm thankful that you told me now, whatever you experience, leave it at the door.
Yeah.
Okay. because it's a case of like, this may not, you might be expecting this to happen during constellation, and it may not, right? And you might be disappointed by that. Instead of letting go, you're just letting it be.
Yeah.
Okay, just whatever needs to happen, needs to happen.
I'm not really expecting anything except
The-
an
the
1
reason-
hour
the-
session.
The reason why you'll be quite surprised. It's more powerful than you think. The reason why I'm telling you this is because you're very highly intellectualized. Okay. Because that's what you've been doing all the time.
Yeah,
You've been intellectualizing everything.
yeah,
And when you intellectualize, you ruin the whole experience of family constellation. Again, you've done family constellation before, and family constellation is about the
Not in
soul.
your way.
It's about the soul.
Mm,
Okay?
mm,
Soul doesn't have any expectations.
mm,
The soul is not going to say why or wherefore. All right, let me give you an example. One of the things in family constellation, when you learn the basics of family constellation, you learn about linkage to the family.
mm,
And you can go back at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 generations. I got to the point of saying that, well, if I'm in the field of all knowledge, if I'm in the morphogenic field, why do I need so many ancestors? Why don't we just go to the crux of what this problem is? Okay? So in other words, instead of bringing 10 representatives into the constellation, I would bring one representative into the constellation. And I would work from there. So I would simplify the whole situation. Okay? But that's the way I would. Many constellation people would say that's not the way you should do it. Okay, but I like breaking rules.
Yeah.
All right. So it's a case of like, that's my style.
mm,
All right. And this is what I find effective.
mm.
So sometimes we tend to be too orthodox, and we tend to think that, but that's not the way it should be done. But it's a case of like, if I'm coming to you to do it, then what you're saying to me is that I need to let go. I need to let go of all my prejudices. I need to let go of my culture. Okay?
Mm.
I need to just be at zero. I need to experience what's going on over here. The full experience of what's going on over here. I actually did a small constellation with Helen
Yeah,
when we started working over here.
yeah. I
Okay.
haven't done your sort of constellation. What I've done is totally different.
Okay, but what I did with Helen was we took one point, and that was just the neck, and immediately we just went to her mom.
Mm.
And it's again, when she said, I give back your fate, you weren't just giving your fate, the fate back of mom's fate. You were giving back the fate of an ancestral line. Okay, because that gave mom the opportunity to tell her mother respectfully,
Correct.
I give you back your fate.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I can see it, and now it's even like chinging more down the ladder.
okay. And what is the point of doing family constellation? Is to connect with the parental line so they're able to support you. So now mom has support, you have a full support with the ancestral line behind her. They're all smiling down
Quite
at you.
profound.
They're all smiling down at you.
And that's when the peace comes, April.
Yep. That's when the shoulders feel.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
could feel that.
Just letting go.
And it was interesting because I'm just reflecting. Even when I was choked up with tears, my lungs were holding a lucid breathe to just let go. It was almost like the lungs were stopping me from,
Yeah, absolutely.
it was profound.
Yeah. So a lot of memories came to you. Okay, you may not have remembered those memories, but they're all here in that cellular structure in the lungs. They're all here. So it's a case of like, okay, I still need to work on it. Let's just work on it. Okay. So breathing very vital, and just kind of give life back to those lungs again.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Really.
Yeah.
Quite interested. Something's just come up in my mind. There's a woman in South Africa, and she's a psychic medium, and she's, on TV, radio programs, and all the rest of it. And I think I did a brief workshop with her when she first came up from Durban. The one thing she said to me straight off, the first thing was, "You brought a great grief with you."
Okay.
And without even thinking, I said, "Yes, I know."
Yeah.
And 50% of that just fell away by actually saying, "Yes, I know." But, I didn't know until she actually said this to me.
Yeah.
And in a split second, I was acknowledging that was correct.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it was about.
It doesn't matter, does it? Yeah?
No, I don't think so.
Because you've given it a voice.
Yeah.
That's all it asked for, was
Yeah.
to be given a voice.
Yeah.
Another point as well, Hannah. Okay, not heard.
Not heard.
Yeah, it was tight on the left-hand side. Okay, down here. That also expresses that when I say something, I'm not being heard. So the question one has to ask over here is that, when did this happen
Okay.
in your life?
I'm going to reflect on that.
Right.
That's happened quite a few often. I mean, I can start thinking going down the line. I'll have to come to you for a session on not being heard.
Yeah, relative, isn't it? Because if you look at the nasal passage, it also goes through here.
Yes.
Okay. So it's relative to that as well. So it's again related to the lungs. Okay. It's that breath as well. There's probably too much mouth breathing and not enough nose breathing.
So I'm going to be focusing on my nasal breathing a lot.
I have sleep apnea.
Yeah.
I can remember the first time I had it, I actually woke up and thought my lungs were going to burst because I hadn't been breathing.
So here again, when we reflect back to the emotion of the lung, she was right about the grief.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is why I say with the empathy part, if that grief is still there, okay, it may have been lifted 50%, but that other 50% is still there.
Yeah.
So it's a case of like acknowledging the other 50% now. Okay.
Yeah.
So that also can be free. Because when you do that, you also free those people that you have compassion for.
Mm.
Okay.
See,
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
you know what's just come to my mind now? When I was doing my training with Argentinian people with somatic body, the one lady who was my therapist at the time said, something happened when you were very tiny. Because I've got very busy eyes.
Right.
And she said, when your eyes are activated, it's often a sign of something very early in childhood. And I really couldn't remember. Anyway, suddenly she did something, and then this image came. I was about 18 months in a little pen pal, you know, those wooden pen pals. And now you said I wasn't heard, and I was standing on my tips of my toes, screaming and crying. And then we went back to that time in my life, and my mother was pregnant with my sister again, because there was a short, it was only 16 months between her and me. And I said, now I wasn't heard because she was obviously vomiting, morning sickness, or she had the baby. I can't.
Definitely.
She was busy with the baby, and I wasn't heard. Starting there, but then it becomes a pattern.
Yeah.
In other parts of the life, so I'll have to come to you for now once I've done my lung stuff.
Again, total repeat again. Eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Zero.
I wasn't heard.
Okay, everyone.
Anyway,
Yes.
Sure.
Enjoy your lunch.
It gets deeper
That's
and
what's-
deeper and
Do you know
deeper.
what? I think if just the two of us being here with Jane, we have learned so much
Oh.
within ourselves. Maybe we wouldn't have learned this much within ourselves if there'd have been a huge big crowd of us.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and it's meant to
Need to
be.
be.
I'm thankful for all this gorgeous time.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
Ben is also saying thanks.
Mm.
The dog.
Yeah.
She's also saying thanks.
Also constellated, hey. Yeah. It was-
She's too wise, this one. She
Yeah.
comes and gives me messages that I can't always understand, but she's
But from the beginning, she was at the door, lying on her back.
and so attentive over there. You know, she was sitting and watching, you know. Everyone, it's been a pleasure.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you
Rest of
so
the
much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Flo.
All the best. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That was